Hello, you Chupacabra 4-play fans. Jim Sterling here, and this is Battlefield 1. This is a new game that came out this week, as if you heard about it. Came out on some days, different days, basically, depending on how much you paid EA. But horrible business things aside, the game itself is one that I'm enjoying quite a bit, which is fairly remarkable because I'm not that big a fan of DICE's work. I don't hate them, I recognise they make good games, but the Battlefield series never really appealed to me. I objectively recognised, as much as one can, that they were good, but I never really kind of got into them. I did like Battlefront, the last one, in fact, which may be surprising, but, you know, it was a bit disappointing. I was a bit let down by it because obviously it was an unfinished game that they released, and they're releasing it now as like a definitive edition or something, and even then it still doesn't feel all that feature rich. But anyway, we're not talking about that, we're talking about Battlefield 1, which is called Battlefield 1 because it's set in World War 1. Okay, there's nothing confusing about that. So this is World War 1. This is a bit of the campaign. I've got some campaign footage, I've got some multiplayer footage, which was captured on the PS4. And I know some of you hate when I do that, but I did it. I'm not playing this on Origin. That's just a given. So I'm using the PlayStation 4 console. I don't know why there was a big gap between me saying PlayStation and the number. There is only one relevant at the moment. So anyway, this is a bit of the campaign. The campaign I like, and again, this is something, you know, while I've recognised the Battlefield games are good, don't like their campaigns. Don't like their campaigns. But this one was very well done. The campaigns are short. There's multiple campaigns and they're quite short. But there's like 5 of them, and they each tell a different story about a different soldier that fought in the war, all around the world. It really does do a good job of making it look like the global conflict it was. You don't get that with a lot of World War One material, be it video game, documentary, film, whatever. Most of it focuses on the Western Front. Most of it focuses on, you know, trench warfare, English people, German people, and that's about it, you know, some stuff happening in France. And this one has some of that. It has American soldiers. This character here is an American pilot. The game's intro, quite famously now, has that whole bit with the Harlem Hellfighters. There's a campaign about an Italian soldier. There's a campaign about an English tank driver. And that's another thing I like about the campaign, is that it splits its vehicle sections into their own mini campaigns. So if you don't like vehicles, you're not forced to play a whole, you know, airplane level. They're their own thing. But even with that said, as someone who doesn't typically like vehicles in pretty much any first-person shooter, I don't mind them here either. It's something else that just seems to be improved. I don't know if it's just because they're World War One vehicles, they just handle differently, and in a way I kind of like. I'm not sure what it is, but I don't mind using tanks in this game, even in multiplayer, which is very unusual for me. I'll drive around in a little car or a little tank or whatever, and I'm fine with it. You know, compare it to the TIE fighters in Battlefront. Waited ages to get into one, got into one, and was like, I don't like this, so I stopped playing in TIE fighters. But anyway, I don't mind. I played through the plane campaign was actually the first one I played. This is part of it. It's not all planes, as you can see. Just like the tank one isn't all tanks. They do still put some other stuff in. This is kind of a stealth section. We're going through no man's land, which they really do good. Like, they do a great job of making it look just horrific. You know, all the burnt trees and the flaming embers and everything. It's really well realised. I wouldn't say the game is authentic. I know DICE have talked big about authenticity in this game. Here's a cutscene. They talk big about authenticity, and this is, you know, very fast-paced, very action-packed, lots of automatic weapons, lots of cool shit happening. And, you know, World War One was not full of all that. If this wanted to be authentic, then what it would do is make you sit in the mud for hours writing the occasional depressing poem. But that's not what this game's about. Maybe that's something Telltale or another developer that doesn't focus on action games can do for us. Just a World War game where you write poetry and feel miserable all the time and have to upturn your boots so the rainwater can be let out and you eat rats. That sort of thing. But it does do a good, a highly stylized job of just communicating that World War One was a horrific shit show. In the multiplayer as well as the campaign, I feel. The multiplayer is terrifying chaos. More so again than I've experienced in other Battlefield games, sorry. Fucking naming conventions. They've always been big. But in other Battlefield games, I've always felt like the big maps and the huge amounts of players, I just ended up doing a lot of sprinting to the bit where I die. Or, driving to the bit where I die. And I don't get that from this one. And it may just be because I did play so much of Battlefront that I'm into this style more than I used to be. That could be it. Tastes evolve over time. But this one's just really clicked with me. And I know that will, for some reason, maybe upset people. I don't know. I don't use Twitter the way Twitter's normally used anymore. For the sake of my own sanity, I don't look at general replies to things. And if I look at replies to specific tweets I've made, I do it for about 5-10 minutes and then don't bother anymore. So I did tweet that I liked Battlefield 1 yesterday. And according to Gav, who, Podquisition co-star Gav, Miracle of Sound, do check him out, he's a great musician. Apparently he's been getting shit for saying he liked it, and he mentioned that I was getting shit. Someone was like, oh no, not you too, Jim, like it was some great betrayal. I guess, is that the EA factor there? I mean, I hate EA's behaviour as much as the next person, and there's plenty of stuff in here to criticise regarding shit that's clearly, the shit that rolled from uphill with regards to business practices and stuff like that. So, I forget. No, I do make it through here. As you can see, this bit's low on action. We're just kind of avoiding the spotlight as we go through No Man's Land, which again I must reiterate is just beautiful in a horrible, depressing, nightmarish way. That was me going the wrong way. Yeah, that's it. Oh no, this is me going the wrong way. For some reason, I decided to go off the path and do that. I don't know why. Sometimes I lose focus. I don't know if you've ever noticed that in my videos before. And anyway, that's that bit. That's a bit of the pilot's campaign. Not a lot of flying. I did include some flying. I'm not very good at it, but I'm a fuck's like better at it than I am in other games where they make you get in an airplane. So, thank heaven for small mercies, I suppose. It's a little bit of plane gameplay for you, as we're, getting into dogfights and that sort of thing. These magnificent men in their something flying machine. Was it magnificent flying machines? In their flying... I messed that up. It was like a reference to... There... Some... Do men there flying machines? Those magnificent men in their flying machines. That's what it is. You hear that phrase all the time. It's a 1965 British comedy film starring Stuart Whitman, Sarah Miles, Robert Morley, Terry Thomas and James Fox. I knew it was a thing, but it's one of those things where you hear the phrase more than you see references to the thing that the phrase pertains to. So I never looked up those magnificent men in their flying machines. I had it in my head the whole time I was playing the pilot's campaign. There you go. Full title is Those Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines, or How I Flew from London to Paris in 25 Hours 11 Minutes. Based on a screenplay entitled Flying Crazy, set in 1910. About World War... Anyway, I totally stopped watching the video. Okay, we're still doing planes. That's cool. As you can see, like I said, not brilliant in them, but making it work, making it work. And you know, World War One, of course, is one of the most famously dismal wars we as a species have ever had. And obviously there are concerns with, you don't want to cheapen it, you don't want to, you know, you don't want to do the hoorah, isn't war fun kind of thing with this one, because there's a lot of sensitivity about this one. World War II is generally alright just because you've got the Nazis, who tend to make really good bad guys because they're fucking Nazis. Whereas this one, you know, whenever you think of or at least whenever I think of World War One, I think of a bunch of people who had no reason to kill each other. No reason. I mean, that's all war, but for some reason it's always been... Sorry. Here I am trying to talk all serious and somber while I laugh at myself just clonking into another plane. I don't think that's how planes work, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. But anyway, World War One especially feels extra senseless. You know, most war is, but something about this one is just like... It's because they're also killing each other in the most brutal ways possible as well. They're fucking hitting each other with shovels and throwing mustard gas at each other. Mostly strangers who, you know, in some famous instances, multiplayer, like that, just shoving bayonettas up each other. Horrible. That's how most of my bayonet kills go. Did I say Bayonetta? Did I say Bayonetta instead of bayonet? That's sad. That is fucking sad. Anyway, to make a long point ever so slightly less long, they've done a decent job, I feel, with making war feel, you know, not overly glamorous, while still, of course, being action-packed and video gamey and everything you want from a first-person shooter. But there is just something desperate about it, desperate and chaotic and hellacious, I feel. There are some moments I've had where, you know, there were just bombs going off everywhere and fire and screaming, and it's pretty, you know, horrendous. But still, you know, fun as a game. And that's a hard thing to pull off. As is me doing stuff. But that was alright. I mean, I died, but I got a decent frag grenade kill. That's how all my kills go, by the way. I just, you know, throw it in someone's general direction and just hope for the best. I wouldn't say I'm sure some people are really good with grenades, I'm not. This was my first proper match. I had like one go the night before when the game first unlocked. Wasn't really paying much attention. This was the first time I started playing properly, so this is my first full match. Not sure if you can tell that by the fact that I didn't even know how to revive that guy just then. I worked it out by the second match, it was fine, but apologies for that. And apologies for this as well, that was a terrible death. But next bit of footage we have, you know, I finally worked out how to actually play the fucking medic class, so that's good. Spawning on squads, they do that. I like the squad thing. That is one thing they do that I like, that a lot of other first-person shooters don't do as well. Again, something I came to appreciate more while playing Battlefront, the more recent one. Which, you know, if it had been a full, complete game with a campaign and the kind of modes people expected, and it wasn't what I call an early triple access game, where it did feel like it was shunted out and then piecemeal updated. I feel like that would have been a really, really fantastic game, you know. And this one, I mean, it could be the fourth one to join my my little stable of games that could be Game of the Year contenders if it were not for the microtransactions. Because not only are there, you know, fee-to-pay elements in this game, fucking microtransactions in a $60 game, it's also fucking really aggressive about it. That's what I was trying to say. Super aggressive. Constantly talking about these goddamn battle packs. Like, they're there, right there between matches. They're there when you look at your character screen, constantly reminding you that you can buy battle packs, my friend. And so far, the rate at which they seem to drop in-game seem really, really, really low. To the point where I've opened a single battle pack since starting the game the night before last. So that's fun. Yeah. That aside, oh, this is me really fucking up. I don't know what I was doing there. So this is a match a little later in the night. Actually, I think this was my second night. My second proper match. Little bit better, as you can see. A little bit more battle hardened. There's still a lot I've got to get used to in the game. I'm not super brilliant at it, but I'm getting into it. A lot of snipers in this game. That's something to watch out for. I'm not a sniper. As you can see, I mean, I'm not using a sniper rifle, but long distance isn't my preferred setting. I'm a mid-range kind of guy. But you work with what you've got and what you can do at the time. You know. Yeah, I thought better of making that crawl. So I decided to jump off the bridge. I think this is the match. This is the match after that last one, where I actually looked at the fucking screen telling me how to revive people. So there are a few instances where I'm like so desperate to do it, possibly to make up for last time, possibly because it's easy points in it. One thing I'm trying to train myself out of is just running to the skull icon like here, just to revive someone, regardless of what's around them. I mean, all things considered, that went so much better than it should have. Especially with the little squad wipe bonus. But I do have this long-running problem with running directly at the skulls to revive them before they respawn and all this. Although that one got in first. Because, of course, if someone's dead, there's a good chance that whoever just recently killed them is still there. So it's probably not a great idea to do it how I do it. But, trading in a life, I guess, or a spawn for a free hundo points. Can't really sniff at it, can you? That was another lucky frag kill there. Got one main kill and then two significant assists. Felt good. It felt good to do. Is what I'm meaning to say. Oh shit, are we nearly done? God damn, I really can just yammer on and on and on for 18 fucking minutes and not even notice it. Sometimes I think I cut these when I do the pre-recordings like this. Sometimes I think I do it I've cut too much, and I'll have a horrible time sat here desperately trying to talk, and I fail to account for the fact that I can just run my fucking fat mouth for, I could do it for an hour probably. I'm not gonna do it for an hour. Although I do have way more footage that I captured that I'm using here. I'm gonna have to find some reason to use it. There was me running in with my little lifey syringe and then thinking way better of it. Probably the reason why that happened. Could have survived it otherwise. Oh look, now the video's done. Huh. Could have used that other footage. Oh well, maybe I'll use it in another one. I guess I'll go, because there's no more Battlefield to show you. Bye!